What's up, y'all? I know it's been a minute, but I'm back with another one. I had to take care of me, but as always, I got y'all. If you don't know me by now, my name is Liz, and this is my channel, Live, Learn, Liz, where we break down things that I have learned and lived throughout my life that I think other domestic abuse and sexual assault survivors should know also. So today, I want to talk about Chrystal Kizer. She made minor headlines as a 17-year-old sex trafficking victim who shot and killed her trafficker, burned his body, his home, and sped away in his luxury BMW. I know. That sounds crazy, right? But there's more to the story. So without further ado, let's get into it. So, Chrystal Kizer is now a 24-year-old girl who was recently sentenced to 11 years in prison for the 2018 murder of Randall Vollard III. Her charge was actually lowered from intentional homicide, arson, and grand theft to just reckless homicide, thanks to the 2022 appeal of her affirmative defense. She pled guilty to the lesser charge to avoid life in prison. So basically, she just took a plea deal because she didn't want to spend the rest of her life in prison, not even realizing that she had other options. This in turn prevented her complete acquittal to her being trafficked. I'm gonna give y'all a little backstory, and I'm gonna dig a little deeper on why that affirmative defense wasn't overturned until 2022. Let's get to it. So let me give you a little backstory on Chrystal. Chrystal Kizer is the daughter of a single mother and the oldest of four children. She joined Backpage. If y'all don't know what Backpage is, it's a website that was shut down a few years back due to multiple reports of child trafficking, prostitution, etc., etc. And she claimed in court that the reason that she joined Backpage is because her friends at school told her that it would be a way for her to make money to get food and snacks and stuff for her and her siblings. That's a sad story all by itself. The fact that this child, at the time who was 16 years old, had to join Backpage, we all know what that is, just to be able to provide for her siblings. Her mother worked full time. She was always at work, but yet living paycheck to paycheck when you're in poverty, these kids didn't have everything that they needed, nor did they have everything that they wanted. And going to public school and being talked about, you can't get snacks, you can't go out with your friends. This is what Chrystal was trying to curb. So, can't really be mad at her for that, but there's more to this story. So on Backpage, she met Randall Valor. She was 16 at the time, and he was 34 years old. 34, yes. Grown man. I'm 35 right now. So crazy. From that moment on, he trafficked her for about a year. All right. Let's fast forward. In February of 2018, Randall Valor was under investigation by the police after an unnamed runaway called the police stating that Randall had drugged her, raped her, threatened to kill her. She also mentioned Chrystal Kizer's name. The plot thickens. He was arrested, okay, and released with no charges. None. No charges. Okay? Even though a police raid found plenty of video evidence, video 4K evidence that matched this girl's claims. Okay? Crazy. Crazy. Not only did that girl call the police and the police raid found evidence, the bank also alerted the police because there were transactions that were consistent with a trafficker. Okay? Yeah, your bank can do that. Especially after they had all the sex trafficking and these new laws and all this kind of stuff. The bank is required to report suspicious activity. And they did. Did anything happen to Randall? No. No. He was literally released, and 12 days later, he was dead. Let that soak for a minute. Now, as I said, Chrystal apparently, allegedly, I have to say that, went to this man's home. Of course, he was her trafficker, so there obviously is a reason why she went to his home. She went to his home. He attempted to rape her or assault her, whichever it is, and she shot him twice in the head. After she shot him in the head, she burned his body. She burned his house, and she got away in his car. Maybe not the smartest thing, but considering the fact that this girl was 17 years old, she didn't have the knowledge that someone older that watches First 48 and all this stuff would have. Okay, she was scared, she was young. You already know. So when Chrystal first went to trial, she originally tried to use affirmative defense, which is self-defense for sex traffickers, and this would have given her immunity for her crime. However, back in 2018, affirmative defense was never used for homicide when it came down to human trafficking victims. So the judge cut it. He said, nope, you can't use it, which put her in a bit of a pickle. Her affirmative defense was denied. However, in 2022, they did an appeal and it was overturned, which kudos for that. But I mean, 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22, that's 4 years in prison that could have been avoided if lawmakers actually would have considered every option for trafficking victims, domestic abuse victims, sexual assault victims. Affirmative defense is not just for human trafficking, but there is a clause for human trafficking. And basically what affirmative defense means is that if a crime was committed and it could be proven that a victim did the crime because of their abuse or assault or, trafficking, because of that, that's why they committed the crime, they would have immunity, which is a great law, but it's not good when homicide is not the case. So in reality, I mean, what can we do? So instead of her being fully acquitted, she took a plea deal. She took this plea deal because obviously the affirmative defense was denied. She didn't want to spend the rest of her life in prison. So she took a plea deal which lowered her charge to reckless homicide and sentenced her to 11 years in prison. The good thing, I guess, if you want to call it that, the good thing, is considering the fact that this crime happened in 2018 and it is now 2024. She only has maybe like 2 or 3 years left to serve in prison. They did give her time served for the time that she had already served, so yay. The question is, did the government fail Chrystal, or did Chrystal fail herself? Now, I'm going to be the devil's advocate here. I am a victim. However, there are things that I've learned that victims can do to defend themselves legally. And there are some things that anybody that is trying to defend themselves shouldn't do. Like, period. So, unfortunately, per the law, she failed herself. In a moral aspect, the law failed her. Really. From jump. If Randall was convicted of his crimes, if he was even indicted of his crimes, Chrystal would not have even been able to kill him. It probably wouldn't even got to that point. Because remember, 3 months prior, up to 12 days before, he was under investigation. He had been arrested and still had not been charged for trafficking, not just on Chrystal, on other girls also. And there was evidence, and the police did nothing for him. Like, they failed these girls, all of them. Because if it wasn't going to be Chrystal that killed him, somebody else would. Pressure bust pipes. Period. That's my little rant on that. Because, that's so aggravating to hear that there was an investigation. Like, that's wild to me. On top of that, though, prosecutors stated that the only reason she killed him is to get his luxury car. Let's be for real. You're being trafficked, okay? You're a victim. You've been raped. You've been assaulted. You've gone through all this hell. And the only thing you're thinking about is, ooh, that's a nice BMW outside. I want it. That's the best the state could come up with. That's the best that prosecutors could come up with. Like, let's be for real. That's the best y'all got. It's because she wanted his car? Then, hold up, there's more. They say that self-defense was not the case because she put herself in that position when she got on Backpage. So the moment she got on Backpage, she screwed up, is what they were saying. Not understanding, not even caring that this girl was on Backpage literally to be able to support her siblings, help her mom. You know, yeah, her mom had a job and all that, and people think that, oh, if you work, you should be able to do, you know, take care of your kids, but it's not always like that. It's not. It's not. Especially not with single moms with more than one child. Like, it's crazy. Even today, think about it. I have one child and I'm a single mom. And it's hard. It's hard. Okay? But whatever. Prosecutors say that she put herself in that position. So therefore, it's not qualifications of affirmative defense or self-defense. We'll get more into how self-defense plays in abuse victims and trafficking and sexual assault victims, because that is a whole part of the law that needs to be changed, is whether or not you put yourself in that situation, or the duty to retreat. Anyways, that is where the law failed her. Okay. Now, did Chrystal fail herself? Let's be for real. She did. She did. She made a couple of mistakes that maybe would have tweaked her outcome just a little bit. Okay? She failed herself, first of all, because the murder was premeditated. How do I know it was premeditated? She sent a text to her friends and her boyfriend before she went to Randall's house. Not only that, her boyfriend is the one that supplied her with the gun. It's premeditated. Okay. How else did she fail herself? Ooh, let me tell you. After the murder, before she burnt down the house, she took a selfie. And the caption of this selfie said, "This is my mugshot." The selfie was taken inside of his house, right after the murder. And she posted it on social media. She failed herself. What people don't understand and what people don't realize is, in order to claim self-defense in a crime, especially a murder, you have to show that there was imminent threat. Imminent threat means that there was immediate danger and there was no way that you could escape it. The selfie, the text, there was no immediate threat at all. It took the imminent threat out. So, it doesn't negate the fact that she was abused. So let's not do that. She was abused. She was in a terrible situation. Did she put herself there? Technically, yes, she did. However, at the end of the day, that 34-year-old man should have never been on Backpage recruiting young kids. Okay? And he knew she was young. Traffickers, abusers, narcissists, they have a type. Okay? They go after the same thing. It's like making sure that you go to a certain part of the river and to throw your net out because you know you're going to catch a certain type of fish. Okay? They knew what they were doing. He knew what he was doing. And there was evidence to show that he knew what he was doing. And he was not new to this. He was true to this. Okay? So the abuse was there. The fact that it ended in the loss of his life and ultimately the loss of Chrystal's life also. She's 24 years old. She's not getting out till she's about 27 or 28. That's heartbreaking. That's a lot. I am glad that they did overturn the 2020, that they did overturn the affirmative defense, because she would have been spending her life in prison. You know? But victims of abuse, victims of sexual violence, victims of human trafficking, you may think we have options, but we really don't have options, okay, to defend ourselves. The best defense that we have is to get out of this situation the best way that we can. But if you look at people like Marissa Brown, how do we get out the situation without firing a warning shot? How do we get out the situation without putting a couple bullet holes in our abuser? Without injuring our abuser? So for the next few videos, we're going to be talking about affirmative defense. We're going to be talking about self-defense. We're going to be talking about the stand your ground law, which makes me sick when it comes down to domestic abuse victims. We're going to be talking about all that. So stay tuned. Like I said, it's your girl, Live, Learn, Liz. Don't forget to hit that like and that subscribe button. If you or someone you know is a victim of sexual assault or domestic violence, the numbers and the websites are going to be posted in the description box as always. And please, 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 if there is a will, there is a way. Plan your escape, but do it like you're a secret spy agent. Okay, it's one of the most dangerous times of your life. Literally escaping abuse could be life or death. So plan accordingly. Thank you for coming. I'll see you again soon. Love you. Bye.